Y'all ever had a movie so deep-rooted inside of your mind that you occasionally go like, what the hell even was that? Well, for me, that movie is called Monkeybone, starring Brendan Fraser. It came out in 2001, directed by Henry Selick. You might have also heard of some of his smaller projects, such as Nightmare Before Christmas. Anyways, my memory is still kind of fuzzy as to how I even got my hands on this in the first place. Whenever I would re-watch it at my grandma's house, there would always be something so entrancing about the film. It was almost eerie, but simultaneously comedic. If you've never seen this movie before, you're in for a wild ride. That's a pun you'll later understand in the video. The opening credits begin with the cartoonist Brendan, or better said, the character he plays, Stu Miley, drawing and painting some of his most iconic characters. His biggest success being Monkeybone, a peculiar orange monkey with very, aroused tendencies. As a kid, I'm not exactly sure why this opening credit scene made me feel so uncomfortable. I guess this was just the first movie I'd seen that wasn't, quote unquote intended for kids. Within one of Stu's conventions, he presents a 2D animation that seems to reflect the surge of Monkeybone and how he came to be, revealing that it all started back when he had his first solid wood in class after seeing his teacher's flabby arms. I'm not judging, but I looked it up and people actually find that shit attractive. That's crazy. Hey, we all got our own kinks. So essentially, Monkeybone was a less popular hormone monster from Big Mouth. Though we don't know for certain if the story is canon since the cartoon was just a pilot for something Stu had written. My interpretation personally is that it's real though. We quickly learned that Stu hates the publicity he's getting for his creation and instead would much rather spend time with his newfound love, Julie. However, things end up going south when they get themselves in a car accident after leaving the convention. Despite Julie being completely fine, Stu was sent into an indefinite coma. I will admit the way they show this looks really f***ing cool. The hospital bed turns into something almost quicksand-like as Stu descends into this crazy world we're about to see. Welcome to downtown, aka Limbo. This is where a majority of the movie takes place, and it's like hell, but not quite. To put it simply, we're taken inside of Stu's mind. I always wanted to ride the downtown roller coaster for some reason, which is weird because I don't really like extreme ones. It's also the ride of your demise, so probably not a situation you want to be in. Anyways, as he explores his own psyche, he stumbles across various disturbing characters. Before you ask, yes, John Pork never dies. Stu walks into a bar, I promise I'm not setting up a punchline, and meets the bartender named Bull. Through a conversation, we learn that Stu is well known amongst the community for his dreams, or better said, nightmares. Considering that their land of nightmares was constructed based off of Stu's imagination, I'm surprised he's not being treated like a god or anything. Their conversation is suddenly interrupted by the Monkey of Chaos himself giving a grand old performance, Monkeybone. Meanwhile, in the real world, Stu's sister Kimmy explains how they both had previously made a pact after their dad passed away, essentially saying that if one of them ever got themselves in that sort of situation, they wouldn't want their death to drag out. So respecting her wishes, the doctor gave her at least 3 months to wait before unplugging the life support. Insert rising action here. When Kimmy and Julie arrive back to their place, they find Stu's pre-planned proposal before he could personally ask her the question. This was honestly extremely depressing, I can't even lie. The thought of how real this scenario could be makes things even worse. Following the most terrible transition I've ever seen, Julie drops some Stu lore. I know y'all been waiting for that. Apparently, he began recreating his nightmares once he started using his left hand to draw. It's like that Despicable Me 4 poster. Anyways, we're once again immersed back inside of Stu's nightmare. At this point becoming a reality for him. Monkeybone hits a little too close to home for Stu after referencing Julie's donkey in one of his performances. Just bear with me here, alright? Stu responds by kidnapping him inside of his backpack before things spiral down even further. A woman named Kitty approaches Stu with one of the bar's signature drinks, the Coma-Tini. Stu explains how he regrets not proposing to Julie sooner, but Kitty reassures him that she's still waiting for him to wake up. Suddenly, the bar goes dark and this creepy tall figure walks up to an old man. He hands him over a golden exit ticket, blood is not Willy Wonka, from downtown, which obviously makes Stu pretty envious. Stu even chases the Reaper down, but to no avail. When cutting back to Julie, she's seen talking to Stu's unconscious body. Kimmy then walks in the room and reveals that the 3 months are up and she made the order to finally pull the plug. I get that they made a pact and all, but the way Kimmy treats the whole situation is like some devious evil mastermind or something. She does not seem to care about her brother as much as Julie does. Although when it comes to grieving, everyone's situation is different, so who knows. nightmares. Stu gets invited to a party. It looks like some sort of pajama party. I mean, I assume he got invited since he's dressed up and everything. However, he's clearly a misfit in the presence of monsters and demons. I swear at first I thought this guy was played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Stu notices everyone getting together to watch somebody's live nightmare being projected on some sort of weird bubble screen. He quickly notices that the nightmare is actually from Julie. Everything starts off well with Stu proposing to her until it shifts into his life support getting cut off by Kimmy. I have no idea how I managed to escape this scene trauma-free as a kid. It's actually terrifying. Stu's frustration leads him to breaking the glass from the projector, awakening Julie from her sleep, and sending her the signal she so desperately needed. As Stu continues to roam around the party, he stumbles across Satan chilling in his bed with a couple of hookers. That whole sentence is gonna get me demonetized, so please just like the video. After some back and forth, the devil confirms that they're in fact pulling his plug at 9 AM. How does he know? I have no idea. Stu's advised that if he ever wants to escape downtown, he needs to steal an exit pass for himself, and that's exactly what he sets off to do. Of course, dragging Monkeybone alongside him. After Julie's hope reignites, she gathers her friends to help execute a plan. The plan being to essentially scare Stu awake from his coma, since that's how she noticed him in the first place. She wants to achieve this by giving him high amounts of Onyx, a medication that provokes frequent nightmares. Why would that exist in the first place? I don't know. That shit better cure all my illnesses if it means I can't sleep right, bro. While Stu and Monkeybone sneak their way inside the land of death so they can steal an exit pass, it's not long before their cover is blown by pure incompetence. Monkeybone was still able to grab the pass though, while Stu fought off the Reapers. They both hop on a train leading to a potential exit, yet by then it's already too late since they have an army of Reapers chasing them down. Monkeybone gets taken away by this, pterodactyl thing, and Julie simultaneously injects Stu with the medicine which blocks his only exit, instead sending him over to face his deepest fears. Crazy to think how differently this movie would have ended if she just took another like 5 minutes to arrive at the hospital. Maybe she's been the villain this whole time. Don't even get me started on Stu's nightmare. They be saying every dream has meaning and then your brain cooks up this shit. Monkeybone breaks through his nightmare and rescues Stu, which at this point, they seem to be getting along pretty well. Don't get too used to the idea of this being your average movie trope where two characters get along, argue, and then get along again. No, this movie is very different and you'll see why soon. Julie and everyone else is gathered around Stu to say their final goodbyes, yet little did they know he was just about to say hello. Yeah, that sounded better in my head. Right as Stu shares his gratitude and goodbyes with Monkeybone, let's just say he had other plans.
Now that I'm leaving, there's so many things that I wanted to say to you.
That monkey don't play around. He probably the reason why his brothers kept bumping their head and falling off the bed. What a f***ing menace. Turns out the entirety of downtown was in on his elaborate plan too. I guess Stu did kind of indirectly make a deal with the devil. So in good old movie fashion, Stu, or better said Monkeybone, wakes up right before pulling the plug. This miracle obviously surprises everyone there, but it boggles my mind how nobody noticed his apparent shift in personality. I guess I could see how that wasn't really on their radar though, considering everything he'd been through. It will not come as a surprise to you that the first thing Monkeybone did was check his new wiener, and with that excitement, both him and Julie head home. So they settled in, watched some movies. I'm just kidding, they had sex. Before that though, Julie had surprised Stu with a celebratory cake, and I'm telling you, I have never felt so uncomfortable in my life watching somebody else eat cake. Like, please, pick up the f***ing crumbs. When we do eventually reach the bedroom scene, Julie must have ordered animal style because Monkeybone goes absolutely ham. I wish I could play you the whole thing, but obviously I can't do that, though I do spare your eyes from witnessing Brendan Fraser's crotch. If you're wondering whatever happened to the real Stu, he got, call me, incarcerated. Y'all remember when that was a thing? God, I'm so terminally online. While in jail, he meets other prisoners, including Stephen King. So that happened. The devil walks in to greet the prisoners and laughs at Stu's face for being so stupid. The whole plan was to swap Monkeybone's body with Stu so he can dream up some new nightmares, keeping them alive down there. There's not much you can take out of this conversation besides the fact that this line aged terribly.
Oh, we're predicting record box office.
Yeah, no, this movie is the worst flop I've ever seen sales-wise. Apparently, it cost a calm 75 mil to make, only returning less than 8. I think it kind of sucks that nobody watched this movie. It's generally not that bad. I just don't understand why it performed so terribly. Mind you, this was before Brendan Fraser got blacklisted from Hollywood for being allegedly essayed and gaslit for it. If anything, this was during his prime when he released The Mummy. Guess people just didn't f*** Monkeybone. Speaking of which, he gets a little too comfortable in Stu's body and forgets the whole producing nightmares thing, the whole entire reason why they sent him up there. Despite Satan not having any control during the day, he most certainly makes it clear that he's like Freddy Krueger during the night, having real-world implications over his body during his sleep. This serves as a wake-up call for Monkeybone, ultimately deciding to quit monkeying around. After accepting the distribution of water-farting Monkeybone plushies, he substitutes the liquid gas with some of his nightmare juice. I know that's a crazy sentence, but I hope you got the gist. Monkey Stu did a little switcheroo of Julie's stored Onyx for some red Kool-Aid, but this just left me with more questions than answers. If Stu had already woken up from his coma, why didn't she immediately throw away the remainder of the liquid, since it can do like more harm than good, you know? Like, it makes zero sense to keep that shit in your household. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, the plot must proceed. Meanwhile, in downtown, Kitty finally decides to help Stu escape prison. She's basically like, hey, I kind of knew about the whole plan, sorry I didn't help, but I changed. And Stu is like, oh yeah, I trust you now. I hope my thoughts on the matter shine through those quotations. She's also kind of in love with him, and Stu low-key flirts back with her throughout the movie. Subtle reminder that this man just got engaged, bruh. Kitty hands him over the keys she stole from Satan, allowing Stu to roam free once more. As for Kitty, well, she's a little busy munching on a light snack. When returning back to the land of death, Stu immediately gets held captive again. Absolutely zero aura. He explains the situation to the eye patch lady. I genuinely forgot her name, so I had to look it up. She's called Death. And she gives him 1 more hour to tell Julie that he loves her. He resuscitates in an organ donor's body, so it's safe to say he was tweaking. I feel so Gen Alpha right now, but this is the only way you can get to the kids nowadays. Anyways, Stu finds Julie at a charity event hosted by Monkeybone, where he takes the opportunity to give her the engagement ring. Julie questions why the ring is brand new and not his grandmother's. However, this confused the shit out of me. I'm aware that when Julie went home the night of the accident, she saw Stu's proposal surprise, yet I don't recall her ever knowing what the ring actually looked like. I mean, sure, maybe you could argue that she somehow saw it in that dream, but imagine dreaming about owning something your mind made up and then feeling entitled to having it. Like, yeah, I've dreamt of having many things. That don't mean I'm gonna wake up and get the Sloppy Joe Hawk 23000. Also, now that I'm already on a rant, why is everyone at this event a grown-up? I get that grown-ups can enjoy cartoons too. I mean, I'm literally 20 years old, but everyone here looks above the age of 40. If anything, teenagers would make more sense for this demographic, since the cartoon is about a horn dog monkey. Both Stu and Monkeybone get into this fight and soar off into the sky holding onto a Monkeybone inflatable, the same one that killed Stu in the first place. Well, I guess he's not really dead, he's just in a coma. They fight each other off, disrupting public peace, so a police officer, of course, shoots a hole through the inflatable and they both die. And that's Monkeybone! I'm kidding. That joke has been made far too many times already. They're back in downtown, this time in the hands of Death herself. What is this giant mecha robot she's controlling? Where did that come from? You know what? After everything we've seen happen in this film so far, I'm not even gonna say nothing. Death basically takes a liking for Stu and fixes every conundrum the movie faced through its 1.5 hour runtime in like 3 seconds. Monkeybone is sent back to Stu's head, and not only that, but she also sends him back to life in his regular body. It's like spitting in the face of everyone who spent all this time watching. I mean, isn't everything within downtown inside of Stu's head? They even had a martini named off of his personal experiences when he fell into that coma. Does that mean downtown is a culmination of multiple people's imagination? I don't really know, and I didn't feel like this was a conclusive ending.
Excuse me, that's our corpse. We've been chasing it all over town.
Holy shit, that's Saul Goodman. Never mind, guys, this movie is saved. Julie mourns over Stu's death, but surprise, surprise, he's standing right there. They kiss, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. So if the movie is truly as bad as it sounds, then why do you love it so much? Well, say what you want about the film, but something undeniable is that this movie just oozes personality. Even though the ending was kind of tongue-in-cheek, I genuinely never expected Monkeybone to be the bad guy. It was charming how they worked so well together, so seeing this cartoony monkey turn into something so twisted just caught me off guard. That was part of the appeal for me, but further researching this video, I could see why not as many people could say the same. The trailer literally spoils the biggest plot point of the whole movie.
And a monkey.
We've got big plans for that body of yours!
Who wanted a life of his own.
This is a very common problem that happens with a lot of Hollywood movies today, so I could only imagine the situation was way worse back then. Also, something interesting I found in this trailer was how Stu's way of falling into a coma had completely changed. In the trailer, you can see him getting hit by a steel pipe, which actually never happens in the movie. But in the actual movie, he gets himself in a car accident. Again, movie trailers do this all the time. They implement scenes that aren't actually in the movie to create more hype for the trailer. But usually the scene they switch up isn't that important to the core film. I just thought that was worth mentioning. If I had to rate this movie out of 10, I'd probably give it around a 7. That's definitely not a take everyone will agree with, but this movie will always have a special place in my heart. Alright, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna go pass out now. Later.